the Andromedan warlord. Ceres clenched his fists as his flagship, the Nebula's Wrath, shuddered violently. Snarling, he stormed to the observation deck, ready to unleash his fury on the primitive humans below. But as he gazed down at the once placid Pacific Ocean, his eyes widened in disbelief. For centuries, interplanetary corporations had exploited Earth's resources, ravaging its land and polluting its oceans with impunity. The downtrodden humans, led by former Navy SEAL Bruce Simpson, fought a losing battle against the technologically superior Andromedans. But on that fateful day in 2257, something unexpected happened. The churning waters coalesced into towering humanoid forms, an armada of biomechanical leviathans rising from the depths. Earth's oceans, fed up with centuries of abuse, had evolved into a sapient superorganism known as the Ocean Collective. Bruce received a telepathic message from the collective, offering an alliance against their common enemy. Seeing this as humanity's last hope, Bruce rallied his resistance fighters and coordinated a surprise attack with the Ocean Collective. Together, they unleashed a devastating assault on the Nebula's Wrath and its escort ships, crippling key Andromedan infrastructure across the globe. News of the unprecedented alliance spread like wildfire, sending shockwaves through the galactic community. Warlord Ceres, once dismissive of the primitive humans, now trembled at the prospect of facing a united front of humans and the newly sapient seas. The fate of both Earth and the galactic balance of power hung in the balance, setting the stage for an epic confrontation that would determine the future of all species involved. In the dimly lit war room of the Resistance base, Bruce Simpson pored over the intel gathered from the daring mission to Warlord Ceres' secret underwater facility. The holographic display flickered, revealing the schematics of a terrifying weapon designed to subjugate Earth's oceans. Bruce's second-in-command, Mike Thompson, leaned in, his brow furrowed with concern. "This changes everything," Bruce muttered, his voice heavy with the weight of responsibility. "We have to act fast. If Ceres unleashes this weapon, it's game over for the Ocean Collective and for us." Mike nodded grimly. "What's our next move, boss?" Before Bruce could respond, a shimmering figure materialized in the center of the room, an avatar of the Ocean Collective. Its voice resonated through the space, a harmonious blend of crashing waves and whispering currents. "Bruce Simpson, we have urgent news," the avatar spoke. "Our infiltration of the Andromedan communication network has yielded critical information. Warlord Ceres plans to test his weapon on a heavily populated coastal city within the next 72 hours. A heavy silence settled over the room as the gravity of the situation sank in. Bruce's eyes sharp, his mind racing with the implications. They had to stop Ceres before it was too late. "We need a plan," Bruce said, his voice steady despite the growing tension. "The Ocean Collective, can you disrupt the weapons systems while we mount a ground assault?" The avatar pulsed with an ethereal glow. "We can try, but Ceres has fortified his defenses. It will not be easy." Mike stepped forward, his eyes blazing with determination. "Easy or not, we have to do this. The fate of Earth depends on it." As the resistance fighters in the Ocean Collective began to formulate their strategy, light years away, the Galactic Council found itself embroiled in a heated debate. Counselor Zoran's holographic image loomed large, his voice dripping with disdain. "These humans and their so-called Ocean Collective are a threat to our authority," Zoran declared. "We must crush them swiftly and decisively." Counselor Aria's hologram shimmered, her expression one of calm tenacity. "Violence will only breed more violence," she countered. "We must seek to understand the Ocean Collective's sentience and find a peaceful resolution." The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of arguments and counterarguments, each faction vying for dominance. Amidst the chaos, a chilling realization began to dawn. The Galactic Council, once a beacon of unity and cooperation, was fracturing under the strain of the Earth crisis. Back on Earth, Warlord Ceres paced the command deck of the Nebula's Wrath, his face twisted with rage and paranoia. Dr. Lyra Vex stood nearby, her eyes downcast as she grappled with the morality of her actions. "Accelerate the weapons development," Ceres barked, his voice raw with desperation. "I want it ready for deployment within 48 hours. Dr. Vex hesitated, her conscience warring with her loyalty. Warlord Ceres, perhaps we should reconsider. Ceres whirled on her, his eyes blazing with madness. Do not question me, Dr. Vex. We will crush these primitives and their precious oceans. The galaxy will tremble before the might of the Andromedan Empire. As the countdown to the weapons deployment began, Bruce, Mike, and the resistance fighters steeled themselves for the battle to come. The Ocean Collective, a force of nature unleashed, surged forth to meet the impending Andromedan onslaught. The fate of Earth, the galaxy, and the delicate balance of power hung in the balance as the stage was set for a confrontation that would echo through the ages. The resistance had struck the first blow, but the war was a long way to go. The real battle was just beginning, and the journey ahead would be fraught with peril and sacrifice. The skies darkened as the Andromedan fleet descended upon Earth. Massive warships blotted out the sun, their hulls gleaming with otherworldly technology. But the oceans churned with newfound purpose, the Ocean Collective rising to meet its adversaries. Bruce Simpson stood on the deck of a retrofitted naval destroyer, his eyes scanning the horizon. The radio crackled to life, Mike's voice cutting through the static. Bruce, we've got Andromedan ships approaching from the northwest. The Collective is moving to intercept. Copy that, Bruce replied, his voice steady. All units, prepare for engagement. Coordinate with the Collective and focus fire on their flagship. The sea erupted as colossal biomechanical leviathans burst from the depths. Tentacles of living metal lashed out, grappling with Andromedan vessels. Water jets infused with nanites sliced through alien hull plating like paper. On the bridge of the nebula's wrath, Warlord Ceres watched in disbelief as his fleet faltered against the onslaught. Impossible, he snarled, smacking his fist on the command console. Dr. Vex, status report on the weapon. Dr. Lyra Vex hesitated, her fingers hovering over the controls. It's ready, Warlord, but the potential consequences... Deploy it immediately, Ceres roared, spittle flying from his lips. As the battle raged across Earth's oceans, a small stealth craft skimmed the waves, carrying an unlikely crew. Alex Novak, veteran journalist, huddled over a makeshift transmitter with his team. We're live in 3, 2, 1, his colleague signaled, and Alex's face hardened with dedication. Citizens of the galaxy, this is Alex Novak reporting from Earth. What you're about to hear will shake the foundations of the Galactic Council. The transmission cut through encrypted channels, broadcasting evidence of the Council's long-standing cover-up. On distant worlds, aliens of all species gathered around screens, watching in stunned silence as the truth unfolded. Back on Earth, Bruce and Mike led a strike team towards the underwater base, housing Ceres' weapon. They swam through inky depths, guided by bioluminescent creatures of the Collective. As they breached the facility, alarms blared. Bruce signaled his team to split up, and he and Mike raced towards the central chamber. They burst through the doors, weapons raised, only to find Dr. Vex standing before the console. "Stop right there!" Bruce shouted, his rifle trained on the Andromedan scientist. Dr. Vex raised her hand slowly. "Wait," she said, her voice trembling. I want to help. This weapon, it's an abomination. It must be destroyed." Mike's eyes narrowed. "Why should we trust you?" "Because," Dr. Vex replied, her gaze meeting Bruce's. "I've seen the truth. The Ocean Collective, it's not just sentient. It's the key to a future we never imagined possible." For a moment, tension crackled in the air. Then Bruce lowered his weapon. "All right, Doctor, show us how to shut this thing down." Working together, they disabled the weapon's core, but not before Ceres' enraged voice echoed through the facility's communication systems. "You traitorous filth," he screamed. "I'll destroy every last drop of those cursed oceans myself." As they emerged from the underwater base, Bruce and his team witnessed a sight that took their breath away. The full might of the Ocean Collective had been unleashed. Tidal waves of impossible size crashed against Andromedan ships, while swarms of smaller entities swarmed through hull breaches, dismantling the vessels from within. In the Galactic Council chambers, Counselor Aria's voice rang out above the commotion. "Esteemed colleagues, We can no longer ignore the truth. I propose an immediate summit with the humans and the Ocean Collective. We must right the wrongs of our past and forge a new path forward. Counselor Zoran leapt to his feet, his face contorted with rage. This is madness. We cannot negotiate with... But his protests were drowned out by a chorus of voices calling for change. The tide had turned, not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. As the battle reached its crescendo, Bruce received a transmission from the Ocean Collective. A shimmering hologram materialized before him, its voice a symphony of crashing waves and whispered currents. Bruce Simpson, the time has come. Warlords series makes his final stand. Will you stand with us as we shape the future of our world and the galaxy beyond? Bruce looked out at the chaos of battle, then back at the avatar of Earth's oceans. He nodded, his eyes hardened with dedication. Let's finish this. Bruce nodded, his eyes hardened with dedication. Let's finish this. As if in response to his words, the sky erupted with blinding flashes. Thousands of Andromedan warships materialized in Earth's orbit, their sleek hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Bruce's comm device crackled to life, Mike's voice urgent and tense. Bruce, we've got a problem. Ceres' entire fleet just showed up. They're moving into attack formation. Bruce's mind focused as he surveyed the rapidly changing battlefield. The Ocean Collective's biomechanical leviathans surged upward, their massive forms breaching the surface like living islands. Water cascaded from their flanks as they rose to meet the Andromedan threat. All units prepare for orbital engagement, Bruce commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around him. Coordinate with the collective. We need to buy time for the Council's summit. The sea churned as the collective manipulated oceanic currents, propelling human vessels at impossible speeds. Bruce's ship rocketed forward, closing the distance to the nearest Andromedan cruiser. Energy weapons flared to life, painting the sky with streaks of destructive light. Amidst the fray, a new fleet emerged from hyperspace. Sleek Lumerian warships, their hulls adorned with bioluminescent patterns, took up formation alongside the Earth forces. A gruff voice boomed over the comm channels. This is Admiral Yuri Kovac of the Lumerian Armada. We stand with Earth and the Ocean Collective. Ceres' tyranny ends today. In the vacuum of space, silent explosions bloomed as ships from both sides fell to concentrated fire. The Ocean Collective's leviathans grappled with Andromedan dreadnoughts, tearing through hull plating with tentacles of living metal. Aboard Counselor Arya's flagship, Alex Novak and his team huddled in a maintenance corridor. The journalist's keen eyes spotted a shadow moving where it shouldn't, and he raised a hand to halt his companions. A lithe figure in stealth armor rounded the corner, weapon raised. Caldra Finn, Alex whispered, recognizing the infamous bounty hunter. She's here to take out Arya. Without hesitation, Alex lunged forward, tackling Caldra and sending them both sprawling. His team sprang into action, disarming the assassin as ship security swarmed the area. Back on Earth, the tide of battle shifted. A low, haunting sound reverberated through the oceans, felt more than heard. The water near the Mariana Trench began to churn, a whirlpool of impossible size forming in seconds. From the depths rose a creature of nightmares and legends. Scales the size of buildings glinted in the sunlight as a serpentine body uncoiled, stretching miles into the sky. Bruce stared in awe at the primordial titan the collective had awakened. My God, he breathed. It's a leviathan. The ancient sea monster's presence sent shockwaves through the water. Tidal waves radiated outward, capsizing Andromedan ships and scattering their formation. Ceres' fleet, once an unstoppable force, now floundered in the face of this elemental power. On the bridge of the nebula's wrath, Warlord Ceres snarled in frustration. His eyes darted between tactical displays, watching as his carefully laid plans crumbled. Impossible, he hissed. I will not be defeated by these primitives and their pet monster. His trembling fingers danced across the console, inputting a series of commands. Warning klaxons blared throughout the ship as a massive arc nuclear warhead was prepped for launch. Sir, an officer protested, if we detonate that in orbit, the fallout could render Earth uninhabitable. Ceres' eyes blazed with madness. Then so be it. If I cannot have this world, no one will. As the warhead rocketed towards Earth's atmosphere, Bruce's comm device lit up with an incoming transmission. Admiral Kovach's weathered face appeared on the screen, his expression grim. Simpson, we've detected a launch from Ceres' flagship. Our sensors indicate it's an arc nuclear device. We need to stop it before it enters the atmosphere, or everything we fought for is lost. Bruce's mind raced, assessing their options in split seconds. Admiral, can your ships intercept? Kovach shook his head. Negative. We're tied up with the remaining Andromedan forces. It's up to you and the collective now. Bruce turned to the shimmering avatar of the Ocean Collective, its form rippling with urgency. We need to reach that warhead. Can you get us there? The avatar pulsed, its voice a symphony of crashing waves and rushing currents. We will try, Bruce Simpson. Brace yourself. The sea beneath Bruce's ship surged upward, forming a colossal waterspout that stretched towards the stars. As they rocketed skyward, Bruce caught sight of the arc nuclear warhead, its metal skin glowing red-hot as it plummeted towards Earth. Time seemed to slow as Bruce's ship and the deadly weapon hurtled towards each other. He knew that the fate of Earth, the Ocean Collective, and perhaps the entire galaxy hung in the balance. With steady hands, he took aim, knowing he would only get one shot at averting catastrophe. Bruce's eyes locked onto the warhead, his finger tightening on the trigger. The waterspout roared around him, ocean spray mixing with the scent of ozone as his ship rocketed towards the falling weapon. He exhaled slowly, steadying his aim. Now! Admiral Kovach's voice crackled through the comm. Bruce fired. A burst of concentrated energy lanced out, striking the warhead's guidance system. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then the arc nuclear device veered off course, tumbling end over end as its trajectory shifted. Direct hit, Bruce shouted, relief flooding through him. It's breaking up in the upper atmosphere. The danger wasn't over. As the waterspout dissipated, Bruce's ship plummeted back towards the churning sea. He gripped the controls, wrestling with the stick as alarms blared. The ocean rushed up to meet him, a vast expanse of angry foam. Suddenly, a massive tentacle wrapped around the hull, arresting the ship's fall. Bruce found himself face to face with one of the collective's biomechanical leviathans. Its eye, big as a house, regarded him with alien intelligence. Thanks for the save, Bruce muttered, his heart still racing. But the victory was short-lived. A deafening roar split the air, drowning out the sounds of battle. Bruce turned to see the primordial leviathan thrashing in the water, its mile-long body writhing in apparent agony. What's happening? Bruce demanded, his eyes fixed on the ancient titan. The Ocean Collective's avatar flickered beside him, its voice strained. The leviathan. We cannot control it. The battle has awakened its rage. With horrifying speed, the leviathan's massive head swung towards the human fleet. Its jaws gaped wide, revealing rows of teeth the size of buildings. Bruce watched in helpless terror as it lunged for the nearest destroyer. All ships, evasive maneuvers, he bellowed into the comm, but it was too late. The leviathan's teeth closed around the vessel, crushing it like a tin can. Debris and bodies rained down as the monster shook its prey, sending waves crashing over the nearby ships. We need to fall back, Mike's voice cut through the chaos. We can't fight that thing! Bruce's mind raced, searching for a solution. As the Leviathan turned its attention to another group of ships, a new voice broke into the comm chatter. This is Dr. Jane Forsyth. I think I can communicate with it. Who the hell is this? Bruce demanded, dodging a massive tentacle as the collective's creations tried in vain to restrain the Leviathan. I'm a xenobiologist, Jane replied quickly. I've been studying the collective's language patterns. If you can get me close enough, I might be able to reach the Leviathan's mind. It was a daring plan, but they were out of options. Roger that, Doctor. We're coming to you. All units, provide cover. Bruce's ship skimmed the waves, dodging debris and energy blasts as it raced towards the coordinates Jane provided. He spotted her on the deck of a research vessel, a slight figure dwarfed by the carnage around her. As they approached, the Leviathan's massive eye swiveled towards them. Bruce felt the weight of its ancient gaze, filled with primal fury. Jane stood at the bow of her ship, her hands raised in a gesture that seemed both placating and beckoning. "Whatever you're going to do it fast," Bruce shouted as the Leviathan's head began to lower towards them. Jane's eyes closed in concentration. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Bruce felt a vibration in his bones, a subsonic hum that seemed to emanate from the very ocean itself. The Leviathan froze, its pupil dilating as it focused on Jane. The xenobiologist's body trembled with effort, sweat beading on her forehead as she communicated on a level Bruce couldn't comprehend. Seconds stretched into minutes, the battle raging around them, forgotten, as human and primordial Titan engaged in silent dialogue. Finally, Jane's eyes snapped open. She stumbled, nearly collapsing as the connection broke. Bruce leapt from his ship to catch her, supporting her weight as she gasped for breath. "It's done," she whispered. "It understands. It will stand down." As if to confirm her words, the Leviathan slowly began to sink beneath the waves. Its massive body slipped into the depths, leaving only ripples to mark its passage. A collective sigh of relief passed through the human forces. But their respite was short-lived. Bruce's calm crackled to life, Alex Novak's urgent voice filling the air. "Bruce, we've got a situation up here. Counselor Zoran has staged a coup. He's taken control of the council and issued an ultimatum. Either the Ocean Collective surrenders, or he'll destroy Earth." Before Bruce could respond, a new threat materialized. Streams of glowing particles rained down from the sky, seeping into the ocean. Where they touched, the water began to churn and froth. "What is that?" Jane gasped, her face pale with exhaustion and fear. The Ocean Collective's avatar appeared, its form distorting and flickering. "Danger. Virus. Losing control." Bruce watched in horror as portions of the Collective's biomechanical constructs began to turn on their allies. Tentacles lashed out, crushing human ships and Lumerian vessels alike. "Zoran's deployed some kind of mind control weapon," Bruce realized aloud. "We need to find a way to stop it, or we'll lose everything we've fought for." As chaos erupted around them, Bruce knew the true battle was only just beginning. The fate of Earth, the Ocean Collective, and perhaps the entire galaxy now hung in the balance. The ocean churned with unnatural violence as Zoran's mind control weapon wreaked havoc. Bruce Simpson gripped the railing of the research vessel, his fist clenched as he watched the Collective's constructs turn on their allies. "We need a plan, fast," he growled, turning to Jane Forsyth. The xenobiologist swayed on her feet, still recovering from her mental link with the Leviathan. Before she could respond, a deafening roar split the air. The primordial Titan burst from the depths, its massive form silhouetted against the battle-scarred sky. But something was different. Its movements were erratic, its eyes clouded with a sickly green glow. "Zoran's controlling it," Jane gasped, her face pale with horror. The Leviathan's gargantuan head swung towards the assembled human fleet. Its jaws gaped wide, ready to unleash destruction. Bruce closed his eyes, bracing for the end. But the attack never came. Instead, a blinding flash of light erupted from the creature's body. When Bruce's vision cleared, he saw the Leviathan thrashing in apparent agony, the green glow fading from its eyes. "What's happening?" he demanded, turning to the flickering avatar of the Ocean Collective. The avatar's form stabilized, its voice stronger now. "We have isolated the virus. The Leviathan's primordial nature makes it resistant. We are using it as a conduit to purge the infection from our systems." As they watched, the infected constructs began to still, their movements no longer erratic. A cheer went up from the human ships as they realized the tide had turned. But their celebration was short-lived. A massive explosion rocked the sky, and Bruce looked up to see Counselor Zoran's flagship erupting in flames. The Leviathan, free of outside control, had unleashed its full fury on the source of its torment. "My God!" Admiral Kovach's gruff voice crackled over the comm. "Zoran's ship is going down. We need to—" His words were cut off by a piercing shriek of tearing metal. Through the smoke and debris, Bruce spotted a sleek shuttle rocketing away from the dying flagship. "Zoran's escaping," he shouted. But there was no way to pursue. The battle still raged around them, and they had their own wounded to tend to. As the last of Zoran's forces retreated or surrendered, an uneasy calm settled over the battlefield. Bruce allowed himself a moment of relief, exchanging weary smiles with Jane and the other survivors on the deck. But their respite was short-lived. A new voice, cold and imperious, cut through the comm channels. "This is Grand Admiral Torvin of the Galactic Armada. Your pitiful resistance ends now." A massive ship materialized in orbit, dwarfing even the largest vessels in the combined Earth-Lumerian fleet. Its hull bristled with weapons beyond human comprehension. "By order of the true power behind the Galactic Council, I deliver this ultimatum," Torvin continued. "The Ocean Collective will disperse within one planetary cycle, or Earth faces total extinction via arc nuclear saturation." Bruce's blood ran cold. He looked to Jane, whose face mirrored his own shock and despair. "We can't fight that," she whispered, gesturing at the behemoth in orbit. "Not after everything we've lost." Admiral Kovac's weathered face appeared on a nearby screen, his expression grim. "She's right, Simpson. We need allies and fast. There might be one option." "I'm all ears, Admiral," Bruce said, his mind racing. "The Fjorans," Kovac replied. "An ancient species, untouched by Council influence. If anyone can help us now, it's them." As Bruce nodded his agreement, the ocean beneath their feet began to pulse with an otherworldly light. The avatar of the Ocean Collective expanded, filling the air with shimmering particles. "We will reach out," the collective intoned, its voice resonating with newfound strength. "The Fjorans are old friends of the deep, but be warned, their aid may come at a great cost." Bruce gazed up at Torvin's looming warship, then back to the faces of his comrades, human, Lumerian, and collective alike. He set his jaw, knowing that whatever came next would determine the fate not just of Earth, but of all those who called its oceans home. "Whatever the cost," he said firmly, "we'll pay it. Let's go find these Fjorans." The Fjoran sanctuary planet loomed before them, a serene blue-green orb suspended in the vastness of space. As their battered fleet limped into orbit, Bruce couldn't help but feel a mixture of relief and trepidation. They had escaped Earth, but at what cost? Jane Forsyth stood beside him on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the alien world below. "It's beautiful," she murmured, her voice tinged with exhaustion and wonder. Admiral Kovac's gruff voice cut through their reverie. "Beautiful or not, we've got work to do. Let's get our people planetside and start establishing a base of operations." The next weeks passed in a blur of frantic activity. Human survivors worked alongside Lumerians to construct shelters and set up vital infrastructure. Bruce found himself constantly on the move, coordinating teams and solving crises as they arose. But it was underwater where the true marvels unfolded. The Ocean Collective, invigorated by its connection to the primordial Leviathan, began a stunning metamorphosis. Vast structures of living crystal and bioluminescent coral sprawled across the sanctuary's ocean floor, forming an ever-expanding undersea metropolis. Bruce stood on a viewing platform, watching in awe as a new section of the city took shape before his eyes. Tendrils of energy pulsed through the water, warping reality itself as the collective's creations defied the laws of physics. "Incredible, isn't it?" Jane said, joining him at the railing. "The collective's abilities have grown exponentially since merging with the Leviathan." Before Bruce could respond, alarms blared throughout the complex. Admiral Kovac's face appeared on a nearby holoscreen, his expression grim. "We've got incoming," he barked. "Long-range sensors have picked up Torvan's advanced scouts. They found us." Bruce's stomach clenched. He knew this day would come, but he'd hoped for more time. "How long do we have?" "Days, maybe hours," Kovac replied. "We need a plan, and fast." Jane's eyes blazed with sudden persistence. "I might have an idea," she said, "but it's risky. We need to take the fight to them, dismantle the Galactic Council itself." As Jane outlined her audacious plan, Bruce felt a glimmer of hope. It was dangerous, perhaps even suicidal, but it was their best shot at long-term survival. Within hours, a small team had assembled in the command center. Carax, the Nigianzian hacktivist, hunched over a console, his tentacles flying across holographic interfaces. Counselor Aria, her elegant features marred by a recent scar, pored over political manifestos and fleet rosters. And to Bruce's surprise, Dr. Lyra Vex, once their enemy, now stood among them, her expertise in council technology proving invaluable. The key, Jane explained, gesturing to a holographic map of council space, is to expose the truth. We hack their central data nexus, broadcast evidence of Torvin and Zoran's corruption to every world under their control. Carax chittered excitedly. I can slice through their firewalls, but we'll need a direct connection to their main hub. Leave that to me, Arya said, her voice cold with anger at her former colleague's betrayal. I still have contacts who can get us access. As the team finalized their plans, Bruce felt the familiar rush of pre-mission adrenaline. He knew the odds were stacked against them, but looking around at the determined faces of his comrades, human and alien alike, he allowed himself to believe they might just pull this off. The next day, aboard a stolen council courier ship, they made their move. Carax's tentacles blurred across his console as he executed the most daring hack in galactic history. Arya's political acumen guided them through the labyrinth of council bureaucracy, and when Torvin's cybersecurity teams mounted a counterattack, it was Lyra who repelled them with brutal efficiency. We're in, Carax announced triumphantly, transmitting data to all council worlds now. The effect was immediate and explosive. Hollow feeds across thousands of planets lit up with damning evidence of Torvan's atrocities. Fleets turned on their commanders, planetary governments declared independence, and the carefully maintained order of the Galactic Council began to crumble. But Torvin was far from defeated. As systems fell into chaos, he consolidated his loyalist forces. The comm channels crackled with reports of a new threat. The Archon Guard, monstrous cyber warriors unleashed to quell the growing rebellion. Jane's voice cut through the noise. We've dealt the first blow, but this fight is a long way to go. Our next target is the heart of Torvin's power, the Dominion Overwatch Station. As their ship changed course, heading for the massive space station looming in the distance, Bruce gripped the arms of his chair. Whatever happened next would determine the fate of not just Earth or the Ocean Collective, but the entire galaxy. The Dominion Overwatch grew larger in their view screen, its dark hull overflowing with weapons. Bruce exchanged a look with Jane, both of them knowing that the true battle was about to begin. The Dominion Overwatch Station erupted in a blinding flash, its destruction marking a pivotal victory for Jane's coalition. As debris scattered across space, their stolen council ship barely outran the shockwave. We did it, Bruce exhaled, slumping in his chair. But their reprieve was short-lived. Multiple signatures incoming? Carax chittered, his tentacles dancing across the console. Torvan's forces are converging on our position. Jane's eyes met Bruce's, a silent understanding passing between them. They needed a safe harbor, and fast. As if in answer to their unspoken plea, the ship's comms crackled to life. The resonant voice of the Ocean Collective filled the bridge. We have secured passage. Prepare for transit. Before anyone could question the statement, a shimmering portal materialized in space before them. With little choice, they plunged through. They emerged in a swirling nebula cluster, its vibrant gases concealing a hidden Fioran outpost. The massive structure pulsed with bioluminescence, a beacon of hope in the cosmic storm. As they docked, Bruce marveled at the fusion of organic and technological elements. This place is incredible, he murmured. And temporary, Admiral Kovacs growled, limping onto the bridge. Torvin won't give up that easily. His words proved prophetic. Within hours, alarms blared throughout the outpost. Torvin's elite Archon Guard, cybernetic hunters of terrifying efficiency, had tracked them down. The ensuing battle was chaotic and brutal. Kovacs' rebel fleet engaged the hunters in space, while inside the outpost, it was a desperate struggle for survival. Carax and Dr. Vex worked feverishly to upgrade the outpost defenses, their fingers flying across alien interfaces. We need more time, Vex shouted as another explosion rocked the structure. Outside, the Ocean Collective's constructs met the Archon Guard in a clash of biology and technology. Massive tentacles of living crystal grappled with sleek killing machines, while swarms of bioluminescent drones harried the invaders. Bruce found himself in the thick of the fighting, coordinating with foreign defenders to repel boarders. The air crackled with energy weapons and the screech of tearing metal. During a brief lull, Jane's voice came over the comm, tight with emotion. "Bruce, I need you in the central chamber. Now!" He found her kneeling beside a still form on the floor. His heart sank as he recognized Counselor Arya, her elegant features frozen in a final expression of defiance. "Archon assassin," Jane said quietly, closing Arya's eyes. "She died protecting our command center." Bruce placed a hand on Jane's shoulder, feeling her tremble with grief and rage. "What do we do now?" he asked. Jane stood, her eyes blazing with a new perseverance. "We finish this. For Arya, for Earth, for everyone Torvan has hurt." She turned to the shimmering avatar of the Ocean Collective. "It's time to unleash your full power." The avatar pulsed, its form expanding to fill the chamber. "The risk is great," it intoned. "To merge fully with a human consciousness, the consequences are unknown." "I don't care," Jane said firmly. "Whatever it takes to stop Torvan." As Bruce watched in awe, Jane stepped into the swirling mass of the Collective's avatar. Her body began to glow, suffused with otherworldly energy. When she emerged, she was transformed. Her eyes pools of luminescent blue, her skin shimmering with patterns like sunlight on water. "I am the ocean," Jane said, her voice resonating with the power of countless depths. "And the ocean is me." The next wave of Archon Guard met a force beyond their comprehension. Jane, now a living conduit for the Collective's primordial consciousness, commanded the very seas themselves. Vast tidal forces swept through the outpost, smashing cybernetic hunters against bulkheads and flushing them out into space. Bruce watched in amazement as Jane raised her hands, conjuring a massive wall of water that engulfed an entire Archon warship. The vessel crumpled like paper, crushed by the weight of an angry ocean. Torvan's forces, facing this unprecedented onslaught, had no choice but to retreat. Victory seemed within reach. But as the last enemy ships fled, Jane suddenly collapsed, crying out in pain. Bruce rushed to her side, horrified to see her skin turning a sickly gray. "Something's wrong," she gasped, her eyes wild with pain and confusion. "The Collective, it's dying." Across the outpost, the Ocean Collective's biomechanical constructs began to wither and decay. Carax's frantic voice came over the comm. "It's some kind of pathogen. Torvan must have engineered it using stolen collective biomass." As Jane writhed in agony, her consciousness slipping between dimensions, Bruce held her tightly. He watched helplessly as her eyes glazed over, lost in visions he couldn't comprehend. "Water," Jane mumbled, her voice distant. "Endless water. Before life. After life. The ocean endures." Bruce looked up at the others gathered around them. Kovac, Carax, Vex, all wearing expressions of shock and despair. They had won the battle, but Torvan's last attempt threatened to destroy everything they had fought for. As alarms blared and the outpost shuddered around them, Bruce knew their true test was just beginning. Somehow, they had to find a way to save Jane, the Ocean Collective, and the future of their unlikely alliance, before Torvan's deadly contagion spread across the stars. Jane's eyes snapped open, her consciousness returning with a jolt. She found herself drifting amid a sea of decaying biomass, the remnants of the once mighty Ocean Collective. The fragment beneath her pulsed weakly, its bioluminescence fading like a dying heartbeat. "Jane, do you copy?" Admiral Kovac's voice crackled through her comm unit. "I'm here," she responded, her voice hoarse. "But the Collective, it's dying." A violent tremor shook the biomass. Jane spotted a sleek shuttle weaving through debris, dodging energy blasts from pursuing Archon Guard vessels. "Hold on," Kovac shouted. "We're coming in hot." The shuttle's hatch opened, revealing Carax's tentacled form. Jane leapt, propelled by the fragment's last spasm of life. Carax's appendages wrapped around her, pulling her to safety as the hatch sealed shut. Inside, Carax's eyes blinked rapidly. The collective's higher consciousness is fracturing across planes of existence, he chittered. Torvin's weapon, it's unlike anything we've encountered. Jane's mind raced. We need answers, and a cure. The Furin archives, Karak suggested. If anyone has knowledge of such advanced bioweapons, it's them. They set course for the hidden Furin outpost. Upon arrival, Jane and Karax led a small team through winding corridors of living crystal. Deep within the archive, they encountered a wizened Furin, his skin shimmering with age. I am Philak, he intoned. You seek answers about the affliction ravaging your ocean collective. Jane nodded. Can you help us? Philak's eyes glowed. The pathogen is derived from exotic parthochronometric particles. It destabilizes extra-dimensional entities across space-time. Is there a cure? Karax asked urgently. Perhaps, Philak replied, but to create it, you must trace the contagion to its source. Jane felt a surge of clarity. The collective, even fractured, it retains some omniscience. We can use that. Back aboard their ship, Jane linked her mind with the fading essence of the collective. Images flashed through her consciousness. Stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, all in an instant. There, she gasped, pointing to a holographic display. Those are the coordinates where Torvin's scientists first unleashed the particles. Admiral Kovac frowned. It's in the past. How do we... We pierce the space-time rift, Jane interrupted. It's our only chance. The journey through the temporal flux was nauseating. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist around them. When they emerged, they found themselves in the midst of chaos. Torvin's scientists scrambled around a massive particle accelerator. At its center, a swirling vortex of energy pulsed ominously. Stop them! Jane shouted, leading the charge. A firefight erupted. Jane's team pushed forward, taking cover behind strange equipment. Through the chaos, she spotted a figure in a pristine lab coat, Dr. Vrilox, Torvin's chief scientist. Jane cornered her near a control panel. Why? She demanded. Why create this weapon? Vrilox's eyes blazed with fanaticism. To purge the cosmos of lesser beings. Torvin will lead us to a new era of purity and power. Before Jane could respond, alarms blared. The facility shook as Torvin's armada arrived, weapons blazing. We're out of time, Karax shouted. The pathogenic source. We need to neutralize it now. Jane's mind raced. They needed to stop the contagion and synthesize an antiviral agent simultaneously. As if in answer to her thoughts, the fractured consciousness of the collective surged within her. Cover me, she ordered, sprinting toward the particle accelerator. Jane placed her hands on the thrumming machine. The collective's knowledge flowed through her, guiding her actions as she reconfigured the device. Energy crackled around her as she worked, the air heavy with ozone. A massive explosion rocked the facility. Through a gaping hole in the wall, Jane saw the vast expanse of space, and Torvin's fleets unleashing arc nuclear payloads across the system. Jane, Kovac's voice rang out. Whatever you're doing, do it fast. The collective is clashing with Torvan's vanguard out there. Entire star systems are buckling. With a final adjustment, Jane activated the reconfigured accelerator. A wave of energy pulsed outward, enveloping everything. The fractured pieces of the collective snapped back into alignment, their essence merging once more with Jane's consciousness. Simultaneously, Torvin's ships began to drift aimlessly, their command uplinks severed. For a moment, there was silence. Then a bone-chilling scream of rage echoed across every comm channel. Torvan's voice filled with hate and desperation. You've taken everything from me, he raged. Then I'll take everything from everyone. A new alarm sounded, more urgent than any before. Karax's eyes widened in horror as he read the incoming data. It's a cosmic harvester singularity, he whispered, seeded from the Big Bang itself. If it fully manifests, Jane felt the weight of countless civilizations pressing down on her. The restored collective's knowledge surged through her mind, presenting possibilities, probabilities, and one slim chance at salvation. Get everyone to the ship, she ordered, her voice resonating with newfound power. We have work to do. As they raced back to their vessel, the fabric of space-time began to warp and tear around them. The final battle for the future of the cosmos had begun. The fabric of reality tore open before them, a yawning chasm of impossible geometries and writhing energies. Jane's newly empowered consciousness reeled at the sight, even as she felt the ocean collective's essence intertwining with her own. "It's now or never," Carax chittered, his tentacles dancing across the ship's controls. "The singularity is reaching critical mass." Jane nodded, her form already beginning to shimmer and blur. "I'm ready," she said, her voice resonating with otherworldly harmonics. "Admiral, keep us covered." Kovac's grizzled face appeared on the display. "We'll hold the line as long as we can. Godspeed, Jane." With a final look at her companions, Jane stepped into the void. Her physical form dissolved, replaced by a radiant avatar of pure energy. The collective's vast knowledge flowed through her, revealing the intricate dance of cosmic forces at play. The singularity loomed before her, a ravenous maw consuming entire star systems. Jane reached out with tendrils of thought, grappling with the primordial force. The strain was immense, threatening to tear her consciousness apart. Suddenly, Torvin's fleet materialized around them. Energy weapons lashed out, pummeling Kovac's ships and disrupting Jane's concentration. "You cannot stop what I've set in motion." Torvan's voice boomed across all frequencies. "The universe will be purged and remade in my image." Jane gritted her non-existent teeth, redoubling her efforts. She could feel the singularity beginning to yield, but Torvin's psychotronic assault battered at her defenses. "Carax," she called out, "I need more power." The alien scientist's response was instant. "Initiating full-spectrum resonance cascade." A surge of energy flowed into Jane's avatar, temporarily stabilizing her form. She pushed harder, guiding the singularity towards the interspatial rift. Around them, the battle raged. Kovac's ships fought with desperate valor, throwing themselves into the path of Torvan's weapons. One by one, they winked out of existence, consumed by the chaos. "We're losing containment," Carax warned. "The collective's essence is fragmenting." Jane felt it, the vast oceanic consciousness splintering into countless shards. But she couldn't stop now. With a final Herculean effort, she shoved the singularity through the rift. A blinding flash engulfed everything. When it faded, Jane found herself adrift in a shattered cosmos. The familiar stars were gone, replaced by a kaleidoscope of fractured realities. "Jane!" Carax's voice crackled through the void. "Can you hear me?" She tried to respond, but her avatar was fading, dissipating across countless dimensions. With the last of her strength, she reached out to guide the surviving ships to safety. As Jane's consciousness scattered, she caught a final glimpse of Torvin, no longer corporeal, but a seething mass of hatred and vengeance. His psychotronic echo reverberated through the broken universes, promising endless pursuit. In the aftermath, Admiral Kovac rallied the surviving ships. "We've won the battle," he announced, his voice heavy with exhaustion and loss. "But our war has only just begun. We must find a way to restore Jane and the collective, no matter how long it takes." As the battered fleet set course for unknown horizons, a faint blue glow pulsed among the stars, a beacon of hope in a fractured cosmos.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.